Hi, and welcome to yet another live with me, Namita Ramani. For all those of you who are new on my channel, I'm founder and CEO of Above Digital, a digital marketing agency based in Dubai that I started in 2004. We help small businesses grow using online marketing campaigns. I also teach digital marketing, and I have an academy called AboveDigitalAcademy.com where we provide courses for entrepreneurs and small business owners to learn their own digital marketing and do it themselves for their brands or their own self. Today's show is about flow, and a lot of people I meet nowadays, including myself, we are all running around doing so many things, trying to achieve so much, read, learn, grow. There's so much competition, so you feel overwhelmed. And I personally myself also feel so much overwhelmed by all that is happening around me. And then you go into a state of, you get exhausted with all that overwhelm around you, and then you feel like giving up. But there is another better way, which is a state of flow. It's possible to achieve that. A lot of other business owners or entrepreneurs that I follow are preaching this and doing this for themselves, and there is a method, it seems, to achieve a state of flow. And for that, I have a guest with me, Anjaan. He's a dear friend of mine. Anjaan basically helps people discover a better self for themselves using different techniques like healing, yoga, meditation, mindfulness, and more. Anjaan also advocates that we should be human beings and not human doings. And more on that, I'll let Anjaan take over and share with us what exactly do you do, Anjaan. You also teach martial arts and a lot of other things. I'll let you introduce yourself properly, and then we can start on the subject, which is flow for entrepreneurs.
Thanks for that introduction, Namita. Hi to everybody. We have a few viewers, and I wanted to start with some gratitude, which is a great way to achieve flow. And the gratitude for you spending your time to listen to us today. And we appreciate the fact, whether you're watching it now or whether you've seen it later when we're not live. Thank you for that, first of all.
And if you can hear us properly and see us properly, please do press the like button or comment in the comment sections to know that you are all clearly listening to us, as well as tag your friends or colleagues who you think might benefit from this conversation in the comments so that they can also watch the show.
I'm sharing this live on my page too, so you can even leave comments there. I'll check it on my phone, and I'm happy to respond to any questions that you have. Namita's done a fantastic job of this setup. Her team's really rigged up the place. We got professional lights, professional camera. So I feel like I'm on a TV show. So thank you, Namita, for that.
Thank you for coming on my show and sharing all this amazing information. It's every time I meet Anjaan, I'm like, hours go by and we keep talking about the same stuff, and I get mesmerized with whatever conversations we have, and I sit and think, and they all make sense, actually.
The beauty with this state of flow is that it's not something that can be really understood. There are things in life that you can never really articulate. You can try, like love. All the poets, filmmakers, painters have tried to really articulate and express what is love, and there's beautiful expressions, articulations of what is love. But truly, you cannot talk about it. You cannot understand it. You can feel it. You can experience it. You can know it. Mm-hmm. A state of flow is a similar thing, right? We can try as much as possible to articulate it, understand it, and intellectualize it, analyze it. Mm-hmm. But truly, it's an experience. And I can bet that everybody watching and everybody in the world has experienced it sometime or the other. So what is this state of flow? Let's kind of deconstruct that. State of flow is simply a place where you don't see what's happening, or you don't know what's happening. Rather, you are so super focused on that moment that you're aware of everything that's happening in that moment. You have no distractions. You have no outside interferences. You're in a state of optimum performance. You're in a state of, say, superhumanness, if you want to call it. Okay. This is a state when time stops to exist. Like when you're doing something fun, that's for you. Yeah. Suddenly the time just slows down, or the time speeds up. So both of these are states of flow. So you see a lot of...
What actually happens? Does the time slow down or speeds up?
Both, actually. Depends on what the case is. So in the case of, say, super performing athletes like snowboarders or skiers or surfers or even para jumpers, time for them actually speeds up. So what could be maybe 5 minutes feels to them like hours together, because in this state of flow, they are so much in a state of enjoyment and being in that moment which is where we'll touch on the concept of being, that time ceases to exist, it dilates. Similarly, when you've been in any kind of a situation, maybe it could be a conflict, an accident, a fight, an argument, time slows down for you, kind of like the Matrix. And and you can imagine Neo dodging the bullets with time slowing down. He's probably in a state of hypersensitivity, in a state of flow. What the Buddhist monks and the shamans and the meditators and the nuns can call transcendental, because you transcend from your existing state of humanness to perhaps a superhuman state of limitlessness and abundance, which is your true way of being. And many people feel this when they have some kind of a moment. So this could be when you're writing, when you're painting, when your jazz musicians experience this when they're creating new riffs. Rap artists experience this when they're going ad-libbing or when they're freestyling. I experience this most of the time when I talk. My background is radio, as you know. So radio is a great creative platform to experience flow. I'm sure you experience this when you make business presentations or when you talk to clients, or when you're in the flow of explaining to somebody why their website needs a certain type of wireframe. You're just in flow, and all of us have experienced this at some time in life. The quest now is to understand if we can replicate it and if we can control it. And it sounds ironic, controlling flow, because the minute you have flow, you're really not in control. You're just flowing. But if you can induce this state, and if you can control the way this state happens, if you can bring about this state as per your will, now that could be a true science to really study.
So how did you get into all this? Like you rightly said right now, that you were in radio, you were also an MC, you're doing martial arts, you're doing all this, so many other things. How did you come across all these concepts and learnings, and you started teaching all these things to people?
So you see it as separate, I see it as the same. All I'm doing is living my life. And at any point of time, whatever is presented to me, I accept it if it fits within my framework of purpose and vision. And you shared my purpose very nicely, to help people discover a better version of themselves. So everything I've done, or everything I'm doing, or possibly everything I'll do till my purpose changes, will be in this part. So I run a yoga travel company. We send people on yoga vacations. I do
yoga trippy.
I do some massage therapy, Kundalini healing, and Reiki, which is again helping people discover a better version of themselves. I do small talks and chats and satsang sessions, helping people understand that they're truly limitless and abundant.
But you've not been doing all this forever, right? You were doing a normal other job, which is like radio jockey and all those other things.
But even through radio, the purpose was to help people discover a better version of themselves. So I know there's a dramatic story of, I went on a mountain and I got enlightenment is what everybody's looking for. But I have no such dramatic story. In fact, I don't see enlightenment as the destination. It's not something that you need to aspire to go to or become or reach. Enlightenment is every moment. In this moment, you can have a moment of satori, like they say in Japanese, a moment of nirvana, a moment of samadhi, a moment of realization of true you, of who you are. So I think the quest always starts with self-inquiry. I've always been a fan of working in and not working out. So when you
hear this word a lot. Whenever I meet Anjaan, do self-inquiry. What do I do?
When you ask yourself questions that are pertinent to you.
How do you come up with questions?
The first thing you do is go for a walk. When you go for a walk, and even to get to the flow state, I always tell people, go for a walk. Burn whatever energy you have residual in your body. Or go for a run, or go work out, whatever you can. Once you do that, there comes a moment when all the thoughts that are cluttering your mind stop flowing. A fog kind of disappears and you get this certain clarity, right? So when you get that clarity, at that moment, ask yourself questions that are important to you. It could be just one question. It need not be a serious, deep question like, who am I? Or what happens after I die? Or where was I born? I mean, those things keep for later. Ask simple things like, what is my purpose? Or what should I do tomorrow to make myself happy? Or what is the one thing I need to do today so that I can be a better person today than I was yesterday? Or what is the one skill I want to learn? They say,
that's easy, that's much doable rather than the purpose question.
Start with that. So with self-inquiry, you start to realize what you don't know. And they say, unless you don't know what you don't know, how will you learn? Most people are stuck in a zone of not knowing what they don't know, which is why you hang out with mentors. You hang out with people who inspire you, coaches, teachers, somebody who's seen a perspective, has a bias that you don't have yet. So they equip you with that bias, or they introduce you to a new perspective. And then you spend time in self-inquiry, meditating or thinking or just simply being in that perspective and say, does that perspective suit you? And then you either accept it or reject it. It's as easy as that.
The first thing is to go for a walk or do some exercise and do self-inquiry. That doesn't mean I'm in flow yet, right? I'm still asking questions. It's not the flow state yet.
No, it's not. So
I'm interrogating.
See, in the flow state, because of martial arts, we understand flow state really well. And a state of flow is totally being present. I know many people say be present, be in the moment. But what is truly being in the moment? In my class, we train in a form of Japanese martial arts. I lead classes 2 days a week in Dubai Marina, free classes for anybody who knows Namita, land up. I don't do it for a living. I do it because it helps change people. If somebody is punching you and you move one moment early, the punch is going to chase you, right? And you're going to get hit. If you move one moment late, you're going to go to the dentist.
Yeah.
The only moment you are safe is that exact moment when the fist is going to connect with your teeth.
Yeah.
So that is the true essence of being in the moment. If you're not in the moment, you get hit. So it's a visceral, physical, tangible way of measuring flow and measuring being in the moment and measuring being present. How can you otherwise measure being present? I mean, most of you watching this video are probably doing something else right now. Maybe driving, I hope not. Maybe eating food, maybe sitting with family and not spending time with them, instead watching this video. Maybe at your workplace. You know, maybe you are doing something else or not doing what you're supposed to be doing right now. So the minute you transcend doing many things and focus on just being in the moment, automatically you achieve flow.
You know, interesting thing happened the other day. I've shared this on social media. I'm not a very good runner. I'm more of a cyclist. And I struggle when I run. I just hate it. That one day I heard some video of Oprah and Eckhart Tolle and talking about this present state, like to be present and don't think about the past or the future. All you have is now. And I thought all this and I went for a run. You won't believe I had the best timing of my run.
There you go.
It's just, when I was running, all I was saying, Namita, no future, no past, just now. You're just running. And I kept looking at myself and my body and the way I'm putting my next foot, how to feel lighter. This is all I kept doing, just being there.
That's right.
And that was the best run I've ever had. I'm trying to replicate that's not happening again because I keep going in past and present, future and past and future. That's all.
It's constant moment-to-moment awareness about how can you be more present. Like when we're doing this video, are me and Namita only focusing on giving you information that is valuable to you? Are we focusing on something else, like maybe a meeting later or a client that I have
to be
later?
here to be able to ask you the right questions. I am in the flow in now moment.
There's two amazing guys, Jamie Wheel and Stephen Kotler. You should Google them, and both of them have amazing talks on the internet. And they've started something called the Flow Genome Project. So the research that they did says that CEOs who started operating in flow were 500 times more efficient than CEOs or entrepreneurs who were not operating in flow, which means you could go to work on a Monday and finish everything that you need to do for that week and take the rest of the week off and be super productive and be highly efficient and have all your results, desired results coming in.
How is that possible?
So this is by achieving the state of flow. So what they say is that because of the neurochemical reactions, and meditators, monks, sadhus, rishis, shamans, occultists, mystics have been toying with this state of flow for thousands of years now. Finally, science now is catching up. Today we have neurobiology, neurochemistry, and everything to do with the brain, even psychology in that matter, which is now catching up and helping you decode scientifically, biologically, anatomically, what is this flow and how the neurochemical reactions work. In fact, there's a state which science has coined, which Jamie Wheel also talks about, and Stephen Kotler, they talk about this. It's called the temporal hypofrontality. So it means temporarily your prefrontal cortex, the lobe which is responsible for thinking or which has your inner child or your conscience or the doubt creating mechanism in your brain which says, why should I do this, or which creates fear, temporarily hypo gets switched off, or gets, hypo is the opposite of hyper. Hypo slows things down. So because of your frontal lobe getting slowed down, you stop having doubt, you stop having fear. You start existing in a state of fearlessness where you can completely be. And in that state you can create magic, because you can do things beyond your limitations that you have set for yourself, based on the indoctrination that society has given you as your limitations.
How?
How what?
How do we, like,
So
tell us more, how do we be there? How do we create this magic?
There's many steps for state of flow. In fact, the Flow Genome Project states 17 steps or 17 triggers for the state of flow. But I'll let you Google that, or maybe we can put it up later.
Yeah.
The 17 triggers for the state of flow. But if you ask me, everybody has felt this sometime. And if you have, please leave a comment for us. We want to hear from you. If you've ever felt flow, maybe it was when you were cycling or driving, or just maybe enjoying a garden or a sunset, or writing some poetry, or I don't know, if you're into extreme sports, maybe when you were snowboarding or surfing or swimming or scuba diving, you would have experienced this state of flow. So all of us know how it feels to be in this state of flow. All of my radio friends will vouch that there's a certain rehearsed spontaneity that comes with radio, which means you have to prepare.
Yeah.
And then suddenly you go spontaneous, you go improvised.
Yeah.
So I think it's important at this point to touch on the 4 steps of learning. This is Abraham Maslow, 1960s psychology. It's all over the internet. So the 4 steps of learning start with a level where you're at unconscious incompetence, that moves to conscious incompetence, which moves to conscious competence, and finally unconscious competence. So let me explain
It's
this.
like driving.
It's like driving. So let's take the example of driving. You drive, right?
Yeah.
So I'm sure most of you drive.
Yeah.
When you started driving, you had unconscious incompetence. You didn't know what was what. You didn't know that was accelerator, brake,
Yeah.
clutch. You didn't know what the steering wheel did. You didn't know what the gadgets were. You didn't know anything.
Yeah.
Then quickly you became consciously incompetent. You know what those things are. You're still incompetent. You don't know how to use them. You don't know what the accelerator, brake, or clutch is for. You don't know how to move the gearbox. You don't still know. You're still incompetent. Then you start practicing. With practice, you become consciously competent. Now you put your hands there, and you can drive, you can shift, and you're consciously competent. But today when you drive, especially if you've been driving for a few years, you're not thinking of when your foot should go from the brake to
Just
the...
automatically happens.
It's automatic. So it's unconscious competence. Can you achieve this state of unconscious competence with every skill that you have? That's the first step. So yes, all those things of 10,000 hours and practice, it's true. The more you can
do the things that you like, the more better you become at them.
Absolutely. So these create neural pathways and patterns
in the brain
and in your body, and synaptic releases and firing patterns. Like when you run, you get better at running or cycling or any physical activity because your firing patterns get set in your body.
Yeah.
And anybody who is into anatomy will explain this better to you. But the fact is that the more you can move from unconscious incompetence, not even knowing what you don't know, to unconscious competence, the faster you can go in flow state.
Okay.
And martial arts explains this beautifully. There's a few ways to do this. So we call it shu-ha-ri. It's a famous concept. It's also in our martial art ninjutsu. It's also in aikido. It's also in Japanese sword making. Shu-ha-ri. You can Google this. So shu is predominantly a state where you follow the rules. You imitate. You mimic. So which is why you get a coach or a mentor or a martial arts teacher. And you just simply follow. Even in business, everybody today is advised to get a mentor who has already walked the path you have. Why? Because when you mimic or when you imitate...
They know what, they have gone through the struggles and the failures, and they know how to guide you.
So your mirror neurons kick in and you end up imitating or mimicking them. You end up subconsciously doing things that they're doing to get the success that you want, which they have.
Correct.
So this is the state of shu. The state of ha is where you break the rules. At shu, you follow the rules. At ha, you break the rules. So this is typically when you get your black belt. And for me, it was very transformational in 2010 when I got a black belt, if you want one of those enlightenment moments. And then 2014 subsequently when I passed something called the Godan test, which is a martial arts test to sense your intuition.
Okay.
or extrasensory skill. Anyway, it's martial arts. We'll get into that maybe another talk.
Yeah.
But at a high level, you break the rules. You start breaking the mold. You start doing things which are not necessarily bound by the book. This is when you're slowly experiencing perhaps conscious competence. At the re level, which very few people reach, you're considered to be a master, where you become the rules. Where maybe you can write your own rules. Maybe what you do becomes the rules, or how you are is the rule that people at the shu level will follow. So shu, ha, ri. And these three steps are not linear, they're inorganic. You could be shu in one aspect, ha in another aspect, ri in another aspect. Similarly, maybe we take to SEO or website design or the business that you're an expert in. Maybe one website is very good with their wireframe, but their SEO is so bad. Maybe the SEO and wireframe is good, but they've got some other aspect
which needs to be touched upon.
Which needs to be touched upon.
To have that proper leads coming in.
Exactly. So it's not linear, it's organic. And it's the same with learning, right? You could know so much about something, but you could know nothing about something else. And if you can start becoming aware of what you don't know by talking to people, by perhaps reading books, seeing videos, being part of discussions like this, asking questions that are relevant so that we can answer. No questions yet on my phone.
So we need to hear if you guys can. Are you following? Is the conversation fun? Are you enjoying the conversation? Press the like button and ask us questions as Anjaan is talking. We'll be happy to reply. You know, using very powerful, strong words. By the way, Anjaan, a lot of them are very heavy.
I'm trying to see if there's questions.
So
okay, so I'm going to give
a lot of heavy stuff.
I'm going to give you
simplify.
four practical tips on how to get flow.
Okay.
How about that? So nothing
easy,
heavy. I mean, you see it as heavy and light. I see it as normal existence.
Yeah, I know. But
so
we're normal people, you know. Our level of understanding is very normal.
We have a question. Okay, we'll go to the questions later.
Yeah.
Okay, so the first step is to simply be present. Being present is the true test of whether you're a human doing or a human being.
How do we be present? What do I say?
So, at this moment, what are you doing? If you're drinking this water, can you concentrate 100% on drinking this water? When you sip it, can you start to feel where the water is going? It's going through my throat, into my windpipe, foot pipe, into my esophagus, into my chest. It's landing in my stomach. Yogis at a higher level of awareness even know as it dissipates through their skin into every cell of their body. So that's just a simple act of drinking water. Can you replicate this with everything in your life? Now this is what in meditation they call awareness or dhyana. It's just being in the moment, being present, being aware of what you're doing right now. So when you're saying something, can you increase your faculty to such an extent that every word you say is potent? Why say words that are not potent? I don't use many ums and ers because I value your time and I'd like to appreciate the fact that you're spending time listening to us. So why would I waste it with ums and ers or long pauses? When you're talking, you're being in the moment. Similarly, when you are driving, you're in the moment. When you're writing, you're in the moment. When you're eating, you're in the moment. So perhaps don't watch TV and eat at the same time. When
just
you're
do one thing at a time.
It's not about doing one thing, it's about just being in the moment. The minute you're in the moment, you take you out of the equation and you do what's happening. Most people are...
Whether it's eating food or talking to someone or having that conversation on the phone.
So if I'm eating food right now, like right now I'm talking to you and drinking water. But when I'm drinking water, so how much is a moment? It's faster than that, right?
Yeah.
So being in the moment is a very... immediate thing. The moment you are in the moment has passed.
Yeah.
The now is gone before you can even say now.
True.
So if you have to be in the now, if you have to be present...
Don't these concepts sound very big? The now is gone in the moment of now. Wow. This is why you always boggle me now and I sit and think.
I hope you're not getting boggled and you're understanding that Vish Daswani, hi. So I hope you are understanding that if you wish and if you want to switch on this faculty of being in the moment, you can. It's just being present. You are present right now because you're listening to everything I'm saying, you're absorbing. If you are present right now and you're not doing something else while watching, you probably will leave some questions like a few people have. So let's go to their questions. So that's tip number 1, okay? Tip number 1 is questions. Being in the moment.
Yeah.
I have a question here which says,
So that's tip number one.
Okay.
How can you sustain or keep it consistent? The being in a state of flow when someone provokes or angers you. That's an interesting question.
We can see the questions here.
Can we?
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm
Let's
getting
just
it
switch it
delayed.
off.
Yeah.
We can see the questions here.
No, I think these questions are on my page.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay,
So,
cool.
okay, Bhavleen, what is anger? I mean, we're going to detract from the main topic, but anger is basically somebody controlling you, right? So, why would you want to give your remote control to somebody else? Imagine you're a television, you just gave your remote to somebody presses some button, says irritate her, and you get angry. I know it sounds philosophical, but actually it's very simple. Can you take the control back to yourself and realize that this emotion of anger is something you are triggering yourself based on some expectation you have from the other person? You want them to behave in a certain way or say something, and therefore you have this expectation from them. They don't live up to it. It's your aesthetic. They don't live up to it, and you suddenly flare up and get angry. So who is in control of that anger? Is it you, or is it what they're
Yeah, but
saying?
then how do we handle the thought?
Which thought?
The expectation thought. It's not happening. Whatever I wanted is not happening. I'm feeling sad and bad. Like, why did he not do like that? Or why does she not do like that? Or why does she speak to me like that? How do I handle that why question?
So the
remote control is there because I'm feeling bad.
Exactly. The minute you have this expectation, you're giving the power to the other person or event.
So you mean to say I should not have expectations?
Preferably, don't worry about the results. Like when the sun shines, the sun is in flow. Does it worry who's going to get the sunshine or not?
No.
It just shines. That's the job of the sun. Can you be like the lighthouse?
But we are
that's
human
just
beings.
shining? So what? Can you be like a human being who's just shining? Like we're doing this amazing talk. Are you really worried about how many people are going to watch?
I don't care.
Exactly. So you're still being a human being. We're sharing this
The more
amazing
people
talk.
hear it, the more people watch, the more they benefit. It's up to
Absolutely,
them.
right? But for us, we're having fun doing this. It's a
Yeah,
great conversation.
absolutely.
It's topics that are very close to my heart. It's topics that's very close to her heart.
Yeah.
So we're just chatting, we're drinking some water, we're, talking to you. But we don't expect you to watch. If you leave midway, we won't complain. If you just joined midway, hi, welcome. So the expectation of the viewer doesn't exist as a creator of content. Similarly, if you can take back every expectation you have given people, then you also take back the power that you've given them. And you just act.
Man,
and
I feel
you
so cool and so happy and
Just-
so relaxed
you realize there's
once the
nothing to
remote
worry-
has come back to my own hand.
you realize there's nothing to worry about.
Yeah.
Should we take some more questions?
Yeah, okay.
Okay.
Can you mute the phone? Can you?
I don't know. Maybe. Okay, done.
Yeah.
So Ambareen, how can you increase the percentage of time you're actually in flow and present? Any things that help? So Ambareen, science says that these neurochemicals that induce these flow states are kind of in shortage, which means the body doesn't create. So when it creates dopamine or endorphins or serotonin, melatonin, or any of these other amazing neurochemical combinations that your brain needs to be in the flow state, a flush happens after 20 minutes, 30 minutes. Which is why, for example, when you go work out and you do like a great workout and CrossFit or cardio or whatever, you feel amazing. But then a few hours later, you feel like, I wish I worked out again. Or the next day you say, man, I want to work out again. Why?
To feel the same feeling.
To feel the same feeling. So this endorphin rush that you got while your body is working out and in a cardiovascular mode, the endorphin rush through your blood made you feel so good. It's a happy hormone.
Yeah.
And then 24 hours later, your body craves that happy hormone. So even working out is an addiction. The state of flow is an addictive state.
So how do we achieve this without working out, without depending on some activity?
So I was telling you the 5 tips. First is being present. The second is being fearless. So what happens when you
that's
get
a big
the...
thing,
It's a
being
big thing.
fearless.
So what happens when you switch off the frontal lobe, the prefrontal cortex? And there's parts of it. Meditation switches off the orbital, and the flow state switches off the prefrontal cortex, the main part. So what happens scientifically is that these are the parts of the brain that give you a critic, that give you something that stops you, that makes you wonder whether what you're doing is right. Alcohol switches off these parts, which is why people have no inhibitions after they drink alcohol.
They just feel happy or they feel
They
sad.
have no
or whatever.
inhibitions. And a lot of similar state-inducing drugs also switch off this part of the brain. And therefore you have no inhibitions, you have no fear, you have no worry. You can reach that state yourself by identifying the thing you're afraid of and really looking at it, observing it, logically analyzing it, and you realize that that fear is silly. Most humans are afraid of public speaking, right? The fear of speaking. So I do a few public speaking workshops. In my workshop, what I tell people is, imagine you're talking to one person. Immediately the fear disappears. It's just a quick hack.
It's not the fear of public, like it's the fear of being judged.
So that's a fear
in the wrong
too.
way.
That's a fear too. Remember that the only one actually judging you is you. Your perception of what somebody perceives you as is the only true reality. So you're perceiving somebody, your imagination of somebody imagining you as something or perceiving you as something is the reality that you're creating. So there is a great fake it till you make it kind of philosophy, right? Yeah. It's partly true, because if you don't perceive yourself as something, you probably will never see somebody else perceiving you as that, and therefore you probably will never become that. They say dress what you want to be seen as.
Dress for success.
Dress for success. What does that mean? It means if you don't see yourself as successful, you will not perceive somebody else seeing you as successful, and therefore you probably will not become successful. So as entrepreneurs, as business owners, I'm sure you walk the talk and you dress the dress, and you have the best laptops and the best moleskin diaries and the best pens, because you're already perceiving yourself as a successful entrepreneur, and therefore the perception of somebody else perceiving you is controlled by you. Thereby you actually create your reality.
Yeah, that's law of attraction.
And yeah, it could be
attracting success.
I don't know much about the law of attraction, but you are definitely creating your universe, and you are definitely creating opportunities for you, and therefore you are creating your reality. So 2, be fearless. So 1, be present. 2, be fearless. Should we get another question? So Muzammil says, the problem with me is that I can't control my anger. Can you give me some tips to control anger? Okay, so number 3 for flow and for anger is breathe. So in yoga, we have a very beautiful mathematical number for this. 15 breaths per minute. And this is like a big secret that you need to go to the yogis in the mountains, only then they'll tell you. So pay attention. 15 breaths per minute, 21,600 I think per day. You are called a bhogi, somebody who exists. More than 15 breaths per minute, you are called a rogi, which in Sanskrit means somebody who is diseased. Less than 15 breaths per minute, you are called a yogi, somebody who is in a perfect union with superconsciousness or the universe. So can you induce this state through breathing? Absolutely yes. There's amazing pranayama techniques, there's meditation techniques, there's holotropic breathing techniques. We can do one simple technique right now. It's a deep breathing technique, and it will help you get less than 15 breaths per minute.
Okay.
So I want you to do this with me. Wherever you're sitting, just keep your hands on your lap or on the table. Relax your mind. Take a deep breath in and hold it. Breathe out heavily. It's also called the warrior breath. We do it before class sometimes. So breathe in, deep breath in, hold it. Breathe out with heaviness. One more time. Breathe in, deep, nice, long breath. Hold it. Breathe out heavily. As you do this, I bet you automatically feel more relaxed. So Muzammil, if you're feeling angry even after 15 of these breaths, then call me personally. We can do some life coaching. But I bet your anger would have subsided. You will start seeing things more objectively. Yeah. You'll start seeing things with a more clear head and not the horse blinders you were seeing when you had the anger.
He's refreshing also.
Yeah, next tip or...
One more question.
So we finished 3 tips, right? Be present, be fearless, and breathe deep. The 4th thing you need to do to exist in a state of flow is surround yourself in a rich environment. So what do I mean by rich environment? Basically, constantly be in a state of learning, constantly be in a state of curiosity, constantly be in a state of absorbing, constantly try to find new ways, new perspectives, new biases, new ways to understand things. This way, you are rewiring your neurons. Travel does this for people because travel really helps you to see things from other perspectives. Going to a new country, eating new food, experiencing new culture, which is why I have a travel company. Because it is the best way to transform people, send them on a trip. If you haven't taken a vacation in the recent past, I don't know, find a way to go on a holiday. you will really experience things from a different perspective. So surround yourself with a rich environment. And
holiday by yourself, like a solo travel,
why not?
or with group, or with
Doesn't
family?
matter. Doesn't matter. Any type of travel will truly open out your mind. It will rewire your neurons. It will recharge you. It will help you think from other perspectives. And you start seeing things with a sense of awe. You go, wow. You have that eureka moment. Where scientists have when they reach the flow state, or where athletes have when they do some super peak performance, they have like, wow, how did I do that?
Yeah.
So if you can induce the state of awe is the tip of flow. The minute you reach like, wow, that means you've just been in a flow state. Because you yourself can't believe what happened. Because it's not logical. You cannot analyze it. It's not something that can be understood or comprehended. It's something that you've just felt, something you've experienced, something that you've just been in, something that you've just flown into. So can you upgrade yourself to be a human being who experiences awe very often? Some people can do it with music. When they listen to music, they go in a wow state.
Yeah.
Paintings does it to many people, like art. Some people can get it done with reading poetry or
reading books.
So you can achieve this state of awe. So always keep yourself in a state of rich environment. So when I say rich environment that's constantly helping you create moments of awe. Hang out with people. I mean, listen to any of your favorite speakers. And I really adore this guy called Jason De Silva. So you should watch his TV show, which is incidentally called Shots of Awe. It's ironic that we're talking about awe, and I adore this guy, and every time I watch his videos, I haven't watched too many, but whatever little I've watched, it leaves me in awe. So fill yourself in a rich environment so that you can be in a state of awe and automatically generate flow. Okay, let's go to the next question. We'll call you. Hi Kiran, thanks for watching. Mohammed says, is it muscle memory? Very good point, Mohammed. So, in learning, there's two aspects of learning, right? One is the muscle memory, wax on, wax off from Karate Kid. You keep repeating something in martial arts we call kata. You keep repeating it so many times that it becomes part of you. You design the neural pathways that your muscles memorize how the pathways are supposed to be, and you can automatically function it. The second way, which I prefer, is accelerated learning, where you can quickly amplify your knowledge by watching somebody else who's done it. So, for example, of course you have to put in your own. If you want to be a great swimmer, it helps to watch the best swimmers in the world and their strokes. Of course you have to go in and put in your hours swimming. But minus that watching, it doesn't help you. I think in 1986, when the VCR was invented, it totally changed the paradigm of learning. We had a paradigm shift. Because till then, you'd only see static images of people doing things. And you'd have to replicate in your head how they would reach the static image. You see an image of a martial arts guy doing a high kick roundhouse and breaking a block of wood. But after the 1986 and around the 1990s, we had video. And we could see how he ran, propped up, talked, jumped up, round kicked, and broke the slab of wood. So today in today's world, which has video and audio and so many other amazing ways to see content and see action, you can really learn really fast. And this accelerated learning is faster than muscle memory because it works at the neural level. Your mirror neurons kicking, and therefore you start to understand things at a faster level. It is kind of like the Matrix, where you just plug it in and immediately you're knowledgeable. No. So I hope that answers your question.
I'm in awe for now.
It's important. Okay, I got a question. How can a team leader keep the flow of the moment when all are not on the same page or not listening or just don't want to listen? This breaks the flow of the moment and consistency. So as a team leader, it should be your job to understand your team. And if they don't love you, find out why. Are you a good team leader? If yes, why do they not love you? If they don't love you, what can you do for them to love you and respect you? And the minute that love and respect comes in, the sincerity of wanting to do what the team wants to do comes in. Yeah. So it's a different problem. There's HR managers who are really equipped to help you become better team leaders. There's courses and there's tons of research online on how you can become a better team leader. The psychology of team, what type of leader are you? Do you want to lead from the front, lead from the back? Yeah. Are you alpha? Are you beta?
It's interesting. The next show we have, after 2 weeks is on leaders. Are leaders born or are they made?
So you should watch that show. Let's plug it. Who is it with?
It's a surprise guest.
Surprise guest 2 weeks from now.
Well known into leadership training and stuff like that, and she'll talk about what is the best leadership style people can adopt to.
3 p.m. 2 weeks from now on the same Monday,
on Monday.
UAE time 3 p.m.
Yes.
Okay, great. I hope that answers your question.
And I would recommend he listens to videos of Simon Sinek, who talks about different topics on leaders, and there's this book called Leaders Eat Last. I think leadership has to, I think being as a human being has to come, when you come from an authentic level, when you authentically wish well for the people who are working with you and people who you work for, your clients, you will automatically do things for your people. And
you will get their respect.
You will get the respect.
And then there's no question of conflict.
Absolutely.
Speaking about books, there's a book called Flow. I haven't read it myself. It's by an author called Mihaly. And it's an old book, but if you really want to know about flow, it's a great book to read. And he talks about, also talks about the 17 trigger points for flow. He also talks about the 4 stages of flow, which I sent you the link for some reading. We can share it with you. Yeah. But one very interesting thing he talks about is the challenge-skill balance. So he says that if your challenge-skill ratio is not optimum, then you won't reach flow state. So basically what this means is you have to know what your skill level is. So I can't expect to do somersaults as a snowboarder because I don't even have the skill of snowboarding today. Yeah. So if you say, can you do 360 flips, 5 360 flips as a snowboarder, I'll say no, and I'm not going to get into a state of flow and do it. Yeah. But if you give it to a snowboarder who's been snowboarding for many years, he can. Yeah. So you got to know that the challenge you're accepting is slightly beyond your skill level. So basically, you're bettering yourself. Yeah. And this is a journey for yourself. It's not competitive. Yeah. You don't have to be better than anybody else. You just have to be better than yourself.
From the now before.
From a moment before. If this moment you can be better than last moment, we've done our job.
Yes.
That's all. That's what this video is for. If this moment, some perspective has changed you in your head and we've planted a seed that helps you to self-inquire, introspect, go do your own research, go do your own thinking, talk to more people, then we have done our job. And this is what you should aspire as a team leader. Yeah. But getting back to the challenge skill balance, so the theory is that when you achieve a challenge which is just above your skill set, that's when you can create an optimum state of flow.
Because if you have a challenge which is below your skill set, you will feel pressured.
You'll be bored. If you have a challenge that's way below your skill set, like imagine, tell me some entry-level job in your business. I don't know.
Training?
No, intern. So if we told Namita, we're going to give you a job as an amazing intern.
I'm sorry, I'll be bored.
She'd be bored because it's beyond her skill level.
Yeah.
Right?
And if the job is much more than your competence, then you'll
because you don't have the skills to reach the challenge,
you'll be exhausted.
The amygdala kicks in, which is your fight or flight part of the brain, and kinds of protects you and says, if you do this, you're going to be harmed. Okay. So a kind of fear sets in, which is why I don't go and jump off a cliff and do 360 flips on a surfboard, right? Because my skill levels don't permit me to do that. Yeah. So which is why you're a cyclist, but you don't do flips. No. Yeah. Because your skill levels still don't permit that. Maybe in the future it will, because now you're cycling every day. She cycles like what, 100 kilometers every week?
Yeah, that's very little by the people.
Inspiring. So the challenge and skill balance, that ratio is very important for you to be in flow. Let's get some more questions. Good to see you after long. Do you have any questions here?
I think everything is coming there for some reason. I don't see anything here happening. Yeah.
Thank you guys for your questions. Do you have any more? You can type out. Hi Rakesh. Hi Sarah. How can you increase the percentage of time that you're actually in flow? So, like I was saying before, the hormonal rush is limited. So you can't really increase the flow. Just enjoy it as much as you can. It's cyclical. Once you get flow, you have to go back to a state of no flow. Of course, through meditation, and the monks and the mystics have kind of hacked this way before neuroscience and neurobiology or even science understands flow. So I would say if you want to be in a constant state of flow, then meditate. Self-inquiry, self-introspection, looking within is truly the answer to identify how you can be more and do less. and thereby be in the state of flow. Remember that if you're going to try to be in a state of flow, it's still doing things. And that beats the purpose of flow.
The minute you go behind that feeling, it doesn't come.
That's right.
Like I'm trying to replicate that run, it's not happening.
It won't happen because it's at the substrate level. It's not at the peripheral level. Flow is not something that happens, at the external level. It happens somewhere deep inside. And there's this entire belief that you're only using 10% of your brain. The newest neuroscience, and you guys should watch these guys, the Flow Genome Project, and Jamie Wheal and Stephen Kotler, and they explain very beautifully how when you are in flow, in fact, half of your brain stops functioning. The entire prefrontal cortex switches off. So the concept of you're using only 10% of your brain all the time kind of gets negated, because now it says if you want flow, you need to use lesser of your brain. So your analytical brain, your logical brain, the brain that stops you, the brain that causes fear or worry or tension or inhibition gets switched off, and then you're in flow.
Only the right part of the brain, which is supposed to be working, is working.
Absolutely. And today there are devices. I was reading, I wrote it down also for you. There are devices that can induce these states. Hold on, let me tell you the name of the device. Neuroimaging technology has become so amazing. Yeah, it's called transcranial magnetic simulation. Transcranial magnetic stimulation. So basically it's a beam. They pass it through your brain, and the United States military and DARPA has apparently been using this to test on snipers and on archers and on infantry, and their productivity has gone up by like 200%. And for them to go from amateur to expert is super fast. And they're using this machine, transcranial magnetic stimulation. So it's already here, and the stimulation basically switches off the prefrontal cortex of your brain so that you can be in this state of flow. And then you can be uninhibited. And then you can reach what people call enlightenment or nirvana or satori or God consciousness or Christ consciousness or a state of pure ecstasy.
Happiness.
Happiness, joy, pleasure, bliss, whatever you want to call it. I mean, today, your mind, technology and willpower, if you can combine these three, you truly can become superhuman. And that's all you need. Your mind, technology and willpower. Superhuman. The quest for superhumanhood.
And the fifth one?
The fifth one.
We have one more, right?
Challenge skill balance. So be present, be fearless, breathe deep, walk, exercise, foster a rich environment where there's constant learning, and 5, identify your challenge skill ratio. Yeah. But honestly, pick up Mihalai's book, and there's 17 triggers to the flow state. The meditative state is very similar to the flow state, like I was saying. And, mysticism has always been something that science never understood. And all this woo-woo talk of, breathe and be aware of yourself, it's great. I love it. But today science is able to explain it. So me being analytical minded, I'm able to understand the hormonal connection, the biological connection, and the anatomical connection to what's happening in my body when I go into a state of meditation. And that is truly transcendental, because today, like I said, science is catching up. It's not got all the answers yet. The meditation guys, the gurus, the sadhus, the babas, they still have deeper, say, experiential knowledge, but science is catching up.
I always wondered, and I think it's a stupid question, I don't know, but all these people who live in these the mountains and who are all the time meditating, the monks, for example, they're not living a real life. As in, they're living a different kind of life. They're not exposed to all these challenges, this competition, this expectations from people. Then how do they know?
So they've consciously chosen
not to be,
to have
and give the remote
their
to someone
only
else.
competition as themselves. Where we consciously live in a world of FOMO, fear of missing out. In fact, when you miss out something, oh man, that entrepreneur got that.
But if everybody becomes a monk, then how will we create? How will we grow?
Monks are creating all the time. So my suggestion is to live in this world.
I'm not saying anything is wrong in being, it'll be, I don't know what that state of being is like. But how will the technology grow? How if people didn't have all these dreams?
So my suggestion is enter a state of JOMO, joy of missing out. So it doesn't matter if you don't know. I mean, the amount of information that you're being bombarded with right now.
Oh God, trust me. And this was a very important show for me because I'm constantly overwhelmed. The amount of every day I feel like I want to read this, and I have things to read and catch up on, and I'm like, I don't have enough time.
So get rid of FOMO, which is fear of missing out, and invite JOMO, joy of missing out. I don't know so many things and I accept it. But
you cannot really know everything.
You cannot know everything, but you can feel and experience most things that need to be felt and experienced. So I would say these monks and nuns and the ones who are meditating, I'm not sure anybody still lives in mountains, because today there's electricity and there's food and stuff, so you can live in your own house and meditate. You don't have to go to a mountain, and it's difficult, if you live in a mountain, who's going to get your food? You're going to spend more time hunting or collecting berries than meditating.
Yeah.
I'd rather be in the comfort of my house, I don't know, hire a cook or something like that, and then spend time in self-introspection and meditating. I'd be more productive meditating like that than going and sitting in a mountain with no electricity, right? Anyway, so that's a different topic altogether. But these folks who you talk about, the nuns and mystics and shamans, are probably in a state of consciousness where they don't really bother about the amount of information they're getting. They're rather introspecting on the amount of information that they already have or have experienced. And they
have no experience because they're not doing anything.
Exactly. So we have a beautiful saying in Japanese, ki mate nai. Don't do anything so that nothing can get undone. They don't need to do anything to have the same experience. What did you do to experience love? Whereas what did they do to experience love? The doing is irrelevant at that moment because love is an experience. What do you do to experience happiness? What did they do to experience happiness? Bliss, pleasure, any of these untangible, unexplainable states of being, because these are not things that you can analytically articulate. And I articulate pretty well. It's my job as a radio professional, right? And you cannot articulate love. I mean, Shelley and Yeats and other poets have really tried. But if I ask you, what is love? Can you explain? You probably can't. You'll say a few words you've heard from here and there. But if I ask you, have you felt love?
It's a feeling, it's an emotion, but it's also an action when it comes to relationships.
Sure. Of course, it's a word. So love, happiness. I'm talking about things that are not so tangible, not so. So these monks or these nuns, they don't need the knowledge of love to experience love, or bliss, or harmony, or peace, or ananda, or samadhi.
Aren't you guys all in awe like I am from Anjaan? So let's see with Anjaan.
Rakesh says, word of the day, JOMO. Anytime, man, joy of missing out. My initial plan was HOMO, happiness of missing out. But I know that has other meanings, so I chose JOMO. I got a question. What was the last situation where you weren't in the flow, and what did you do to get back into it? Last situation where I wasn't in flow. I mean, there's many situations I'm not in flow, man, especially when I get stuck in traffic. There's no flowing in traffic. You're stagnant. I don't think you can consciously get back into it. You can induce the state, but do you really need to always? Can you just be and enjoy not being in flow? Even that is greed, right? I want to be in flow. I want to be in flow. Why? Let it happen. It will happen naturally if you lead a natural and organic life. In Japanese, again, we have a beautiful term for this. It's called shizen. And shizen means the natural state of existence. Sanskrit also we have a word, prakriti. Purusha, prakriti. These are the two basic tenets of Vedic literature. Most people think prakriti means nature, but that's not what it means. Pra means before, like before something, or prior. That's pra. Kriti is creation. So prakriti is before creation. Purusha is the one who exists in this creation. So can you become prakriti and not purusha? Can you be in a state of shizen? Can you be in a state of naturality?
How do we be in a state? What can you be in state of naturality when you are in traffic?
By not doing.
What can you do if you're stuck in traffic?
Exactly. So once you have that realization,
I just play my Audible and I start listening and enjoying my music.
That you can do nothing when you're in traffic. At that moment, you're being. That's it. That's the secret. There's no great rocket science to it. Actually, it's very simple. The minute you realize that you actually can't do much, because what are we?
What is this natural and organic life you talk about? What natural and organic life?
So a natural and organic life is predominantly our basic way of existence. So through years of indoctrination by society, by your peers, by college, by education, by what should be done, what should we wear, how should we behave, what car should we drive, what language should we use, what words are taboo, what should not be spoken about in society, what is right, what is wrong, that has been forced onto you for so many years, so many centuries. You're not aware today if all the things you are doing, you're doing out of choice, out of intention, out of purpose, or you're doing because you blindly have faith or belief. This brings us to the point I want to talk about. So there's two types of ways to exist, right? There's the way to exist which is belief-based, then there's knowledge or experience-based. Neither is right or wrong. You can live in the realm of hope, faith, belief. And this is called bhakti yoga. You can exist in the state of hoping for the future, believing in a great society and having faith in all kinds of things. Or you can exist in a state of knowing and experience. To me, currently, and I keep changing my perspectives when I find better biases or something that I find more valuable. To me, currently, my state of existence is 0 belief, 100% experience. So I believe in nothing. There's nothing I believe in. If I don't know about something, I say, I don't know about it. There's no point in believing
You believe in meditation.
No, I have experienced meditation. So I know meditation.
You believe in the concepts of martial arts.
No, I have experienced martial arts. I've been training now for more than a decade. So when I go to class and somebody punches me, if I don't move, I know I'll get hit. There's no belief in it.
So what are beliefs?
Okay,
Preconceived
so when
notions
you don't have knowledge, when you don't have logic, when you don't have an analytical answer, when you don't have a type of understanding, when you don't have the experience of what happens, then that is called belief. But if you ask me, that's the same definition of stupidity. I'm just saying. So what is stupidity? Is when you don't have knowledge, when you don't have understanding, when you don't have experience, right? I'm not saying people who believe are stupid. That's not what I'm saying. Belief is a great, powerful tool. Bhakti yoga is one of the most important ways a yogi can reach enlightenment or God consciousness. I operate, fortunately or unfortunately, in the area of knowledge and experience. So why I'm bringing this up is, the minute you try to increase your knowledge, the minute you try to surround yourself with people who will tell you what you don't know, so that you can become aware of what you don't know, because unless you know what you don't know, you'll never really know. If you exist in the state of constant wish to increase your knowledge, constant human endeavor to keep learning, there was a beautiful quotation which I read, to upgrade is human. We're all in a constant state of upgrading. So whether it's you today in Dubai or whether it's in the monk, the state is the same. We're both looking at upgrading.
Yeah.
Your tools and techniques for upgrading might be different, but you're always looking to upgrade. Some people want to upgrade their car. Some people want to upgrade their house. Some people want to upgrade their wife. Some people want to upgrade their holiday package. Some people want to upgrade their being and their mind and their knowledge and their anatomy. Constant state of upgrading, that's being a human. So when you can start operating from a state of knowledge, it can also be a mix of belief and knowledge. Some things you'll believe, some things you'll know, like fire, right? Most people will believe it's hot because somebody they trust has told them, but there are few people who want to put their finger in there and touch it. So neither is good or bad. Neither is right or wrong. It's just two states of existence. So I think that came from this question of, what did you do to get back into it? Nothing. I don't have to do anything to get back into a state of flow, because I don't believe that it's anything. It's just something that I know I have experienced and I can experience when I need it next time. I don't need to experience it when I'm sitting in a traffic jam. It's a waste of that beautiful moment. Why do I need to be in flow when I'm in a traffic jam? I don't need to be in flow. Do I need to be in flow when I'm talking to you? Absolutely yes. So that I avoid the ums and ahs, so that we avoid the pauses. So that it's qualitative content for you, so that you get value out of what we're sharing.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for all this information. Do we have any other questions?
Let's see. No, I think that's it. Thanks Mohammed, Muzammil, Shiny, Ravi, Purnami, Venkat, Sarah, Chandni. You're all watching. Thank you so much. And Krina, Hemrajani, Mimi Bajpai, Vish, Dr. Gauri. Thank you so much for watching. We really appreciate it. And all the people who are going to watch this subsequently, Send us messages, send us comments. We'd really like to hear what your thoughts are on the neurobiology of mystical experiences like flow.
And I hope this conversation and all this information that Anjaan shared to all you guys who in your personal life as well as in your work life, whether you're an entrepreneur, business owner, or employee, or whatever you're doing in your professional life, it will help you somewhere or the other, because I think a state of flow is a state of being.
That's right.
Whether it's being at work or being at home or being with friends or doing any activity, actually, it's this state of being.
That's right.
And all these 5 tips that Anjaan gave, you want to just quickly repeat the tips?
Be in the moment, be fearless, breathe, holotropic breathing, pranayama, meditation, deep breathing, warrior breathing, anything you can. 4, surround yourself with a rich environment which is conducive to your learning and which has high value. Aware of your challenge, skill balance. Are we still live? Yeah. These are the 5 things.
Yeah.
And this could possibly be the hack for you to achieve superhuman abilities in a flow state. And my true and deepest heartfelt desire is that you have radical transformation and you discover how you are limitless and abundant.
Thank you so much, Anjaan, for coming and sharing all this amazing information. How can people find you and work with you?
Instagram is now, I think, the latest way. So Anjaan, you can look for me. I might soon start an institute which helps people understand this state of existence more. So that's in the plan. Namita might be helping me. So thank you guys.
Definitely. I hope you guys enjoyed the show. Please do like and share this video with people who you think can benefit. Tag them in the comments below. Leave your comments and questions if you have any. Me and Anjaan would be manning the video for next 48 hours. And looking forward to seeing you all on the next one in 2 weeks. Until then, have a lovely week ahead. Bye.
Manning and womaning the video. Thanks for watching.
Cheers. Bye.